Let's talk some toys in here.
Hey, what's up everyone? Today is the Man-Child. Alright, so today up for review. Finally got in my Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat or Mortal Kombat 3 inspired Sheeva figure. So yeah, I pre-ordered her over the summer, I want to say, with Storm Collectibles directly, and she just finally showed up my doorstep a few days ago. Some other people I talked to, like on Instagram, also pre-ordered her, I want to say on Big Bad Toy Store, I think, and maybe Amazon. And they still haven't got any confirmation or heard anything. Usually when Storm Collectibles have pre-orders and they ship out, places like Big Bad and Amazon and whatnot, they don't seem to get these figures in from Storm or pre-orders or ship out maybe a month or two later. And now you got to consider the holiday season and just the mail traffic and whatnot. But sooner or later, this will show up. Aside that, I'm just so excited to finally get Sheeva in hand. And here's a quick look at the picture images or illustrations in the back of the box. So we just pretty much have the Sheeva figure in box as the main illustration over on the left-hand side here. Just different iconic poses, how you can set her up, going back to the video games. Looks like her maybe taunt or stomp or something like that with the foot raised, the arms up. It's cool she also has the spots painted on her back like Goro. She's doing that one of her iconic Mortal Kombat style uppercuts in this image. She also comes with 2 interchangeable heads, which I think is always awesome with Storm Collectibles, Mortal Kombat figures or figures. She has a Fire Blast effect here. And I also noticed that in the lower part of the box here, to mention that this figure is inspired from the Mortal Kombat 9 series, not MK3. And here's a close-up look at Sheeva's bio. You want to pause and read that. And now here's a look with Sheeva and all her accessories unpacked with bubble cards and the plastic and all that good stuff. She comes with a lot of different hands, which we'll take a look at in a little bit. I mean, some of them almost look like, I don't see much difference in them aside how the fingers position. Anyway, so you get to figure all his hands. This is the stand for this blast effect, which we'll look at, and then she just comes with the alternative head. And here's a quick look around at Sheeva as she comes in the box with the 4 punching fists, the head. Take a look at the overall skull, paint, all those details and whatnot. And now, bringing in Sheeva for a closer look at the head sculpt articulation. Yeah, just well done, as expected, with Storm Collectibles and Goro and Katara and all his figures. Awesome detail in the eyes. Even the way they painted the black outside the red, the portion of the eyes you can see. The eyelashes over here. Lips even have an extra, like a black lipstick on them or something. Now, obviously, there's a head that comes in a box, so it's the closed mouth head. We'll check out the other ones soon. You can see the row of bone spines up top of the skull, painted white. Awesome articulation, detail. She has the earrings on both sides, which are all part of the skull, coming out of the ears, but of course painted silver. As far as our articulation with the head, or just the overall articulation, so she can look all the way left to right. Look, go down about that far and back. Now she's hindered by this hair piece. So spinning her around, you can see just that hair piece that kind of like Goro has, but she was different. Yeah, really awesome sculpting, paint. It's pretty flexible. You can, you can see how you can bend it up, and yeah, how the head goes into the back of the neck, and what it would hinder when you're turning it. But for the most part, you can spin the head all around. And yeah, it's decent design, piece of plastic, sculpt, all of that. I also like the color on her too. This I wasn't sure how I felt about that. So it makes sense. She goes back to Mortal Kombat 9. I remember that game well, too. That was one of my other favorite Mortal Kombats, where they brought in all the characters, kind of, the 1, 2, and 3. Going back to those games. And Sheeva was more of a tan color, where the MK3 series, I think she was really dark, from what I remember. But yeah, good job, and it works well for this Storm Collectibles version. And moving down to her chest and ab area. So yeah, obviously she has female aesthetics up in the chest. Now you can see, yeah, this red piece is something like between a bikini, a leotard / thong, I want to call it. It's all part of the sculpt. Yeah, really noticeable with Sheeva. It's not much to her, but it's pretty good paint. You can see areas of sloppy here, and where they start to, it should have been painted closer to the skin. I even have a little bit of slop down here. It's not terrible, but for the most part, it's just part of sculpt. It's interesting design. So she does have the ab crunch here, right? You can spin left to right, back and forth. She can go all the way down about that far and all the way back. And of course, as you spin and break it, now this is a soft piece of rubber. It kind of looks goofy as you start messing around with it. You can even just see the whole hinge joint set up in there, how it can rotate and pivot. So I don't really move her that much because, again, we'll break this. And yeah, it seems to throw this all out of balance. See, she gets stuck in the back here. This piece is supposed to go over this. I noticed that with Goro and Katara. Look at that. So it gets caught on that. So you got to watch that articulation with this piece and how you set it and then readjust it, I want to say. So moving down to her stomach and hip area. So once again, this, yeah, thong piece, this goes all the way down. It's all part of the sculpt, obviously. From this piece, it's all painted red. She has this Mortal Kombat kind of style belt. Now, that is a loose piece, its own thing. It's not part of the sculpt. Yeah, pretty cool details. Almost looks like a, I guess that's supposed to be a Mortal Kombat, like a yin-yang symbol or something like that. It could, looks like if you want to remove it, you could. It's almost like this piece overlaps and it's glued. But if you want to unhinge it or give it a cut, you can remove it from the body. Or if you separate these two ends, I think the whole figure pops apart. It could slide up and over, which I'm not messing around with. Now, I bring that point up because, like, messing around with her, yeah, see this piece gets stuck. I used a brush or something soft to go in here and pull this rubber back out so it seats over everything. Kind of a, I want to say it's QC issue, just a weird design, but that's how they set it up. And moving on to the legs, so yeah, she has some really long legs like Goro and Kotaro. I like this wash too they have all over the body. You can see it where all the cuts merge together with the muscle aesthetic. So not only does she have this light tan color, the overall body from like it was an MK9, but it's like a darkish brownish wash on everything. If you can see that with all the details, it's pretty cool. As far as the articulation with the legs, so she can go all the way out with a split, excellent articulation. Can kick all the way forward, go all the way back. So this is all rubbery piece in here, allows for a lot of flexibility. She could bend all the way up at the knee, like, you know, just that leg that far up towards the thigh here. Yeah, once again, pinless joints in the knee joint really blends in well. And that's what's cool with all these joints. Not only are they pinless, but just the way they seem to blend in with everything with Storm Collectibles, Mortal Kombat, and their figures. The only downfall is, once again, these double hinge joints. You can see like the little rollers of the pins in there when they're open, the gaps, I want to call it. Same thing with the arms. But once they're bent in a certain position, you don't even notice them. So not only, so we said we can only do a front kick. Yeah, the leg can rock back and forth as well. Moving down to her ankles, she has these ankle bracers on. Now they are separate. So you can see they're painted black, silver, excuse me, with black highlights up in here. You know, neat detail. It's very identical to the bracers, but they have, you know, the painting at the rims where the bracers are just steel. So they are separate pieces, and I guess if you want to take them off, they look like they can maybe slide. You'd have to try to remove the ball hinges in the feet, which are possible. I'm not messing around with that. They're both identical. And as far as the feet, so she has only 2 toes, where Goro and Kotaro have multiple toes. Have some black toenail polish in each of the toes, both feet. As far as her toe articulation, or foot, so she can go all the way up, down, rock side to side, and then the toes also have articulation well, and then you go up and down like this. And both feet are exactly the same, as well as the bracers. And moving back up to the arms, and one of the most important features of the Shokan Warriors, and what I always liked about having these figures in my collection, something just intimidating about a four-arm monster that's 8-10 feet tall. And Sheeva, Goro, and Kotaro are perfect for that. So taking a look at the right arm, the top one, as far as articulation, can just spin. It's nuts what they can do. Spin all around, right? Punch up, go up at the face like that, go out all the way, go down to the side, move all around. Now, it does have the bicep swivel. Now, you notice in here with all the Storm Collectibles figures, they always have this piece that helps hide the gap, which is cool. So they leave this body section soft and allows for all this crazy articulation. But if you start messing around, this piece will swivel, and sometimes you get a weird gap. So it's one of those things, once you set your figure up, you just readjust it to meet the gap. Kind of like this thing here. But I love the way the spots, same thing, you have the spots up on the upper shoulders. Now, it looks like all 4 arms are exactly the same as far as sculpt, size, and aesthetic side. Some color differences, spots, things like that. So she can bend all the way up at the elbow. Once again, has a double elbow joint in there, no pins, which is cool. Hides really well, except for when you spread it out. Got those hollow things in there, as I mentioned already. She has 4 identical wrist bracers, just molded in that metallic steel color, similar to the leg bracers. They also feel like individual pieces, and I don't know if they're glued. Oh, now they come right off. So see, I popped that hand off, and they can actually come off, which is cool. All right, so I left that bracer off to pop the hand back on for a second, so we can kind of take an overall look with the hands with the bracers on or off. You didn't want them. Let's leave the one off for a second. But she has, like, there's a ball joint in here, right? And now, of course, she comes with 4 closed punching fists, as you've seen out of box. We're dealing with at the moment. Of course, I'll bring the other ones and change them soon. And, of course, we can spin, go in and out like this. And a lot of, you got to watch a lot of these hands, because sometimes they pop real, off real easy with Storm Collectibles. I've had that happen. But for the most part, they held okay. And moving on to the lower arm on the right side. So once again, all 4 arms look exactly the same, but we'll just focus on the articulation, how it's different from the top. Now this piece doesn't have that gap or this little filler piece. As far as the articulation with this lower arm, you can go up about that far, go down, spin all around, bicep swivel, whole deal. The same thing, you got to readjust this upper body piece so you mess around with it. And these can pop out easy. You got to be careful. I'm just leaving it in. Can bend all the way up at the elbow, once again, close to the face, go out, the whole deal. Same thing. So, all right, see that bracer and hand fell right off. So once again, he's come off really easy. Here's a better look with it, with the peg, how it's set up without the hand on. So that's the overall articulation with these 2 arms. And then moving on to the left side, once again, all the arms looks like the same aesthetics, bracers, punch and fist at the time, whole deal. Articulation's all the same, that piece. But if you want to check it out, same thing. When you go all the way down like this, you can see a really big gap in there with that joint. But once you move it up into its normal position, you don't notice it. So it blends in pretty well. Yeah, everything as far as the bicep swivel, elbows. And here's a close look at that first bracer. It fell off with the hand. Check how soft it is, the overall design. And I just got to put it back on. But I think she looks cool with all the bracers on. I just want to show it up if you're curious. And now taking a look at the back, so we looked at the head and how the hair moves and all that stuff. She also has so that leotard kind of thing goes all the way across the back and the neck. You see her painted. Once again, it's all part of sculpt. But yeah, check out all the spots all over the how they're painted. But not only they paint it, they actually stick off the back. They're not flat. It's pretty neat. And you can see how they just transition to the shoulders and the lower part of the arms. They're all different a little bit, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I like that with Goro too. Just, I don't know, it always stood out to me with these side the forearms and their height going down. We know the belt's loose. There's the rest of that thong piece. Yeah, it just stops here and that's it. Just paint all part of the sculpt. I think it'll go all the way around. Well, I guess the belt's supposed to hide that. It's like supposed to be part of the belt, even though it's a separate piece. This is all soft down in here, and you just see the overall design of the legs. She even has some spots back here too. So, moving on to Sheeva's parts and accessories. So, of course, she comes with an alternative head, only one, where Goro Guitar, I think, came with 2 extra heads. It looks like the same exact sculpt and paint for the most part, side little blemishes and wash here and there. As the first head that comes on in the box, but this one has now an open, I want to say a battle-ready kind of face with the teeth showing. It's not a screaming face, but that's the second head she comes with. And yeah, everything looks the same. Now I'm going to bring in the head that was already on the body. I just took off, right? You kind of see a comparison between the 2. So once again, the eyes look the same. Yeah, that's about it. It's just the teeth showing with the second head. The eyes look a little redder. It just could be a factory thing. So look from the sides, the spikes and everything look the same. And the hair, too, is sculpted and painted. Pretty much exactly the same. So here's what Sheeva looks like with the peg, and the peg setup, if you're not familiar. Obviously, I took the other head off. I just showed and compared, and we're going to put this battle ready, or the alternative head on the body. It's going to snap right down real easy. And now here's another look with Sheeva set up once again with that alternative head on. So the articulation's all the same. Again, it's the same exact head. I like this head the best, though. I always like the screaming mouth, the open mouth variants of the head. So I'm going to keep that one on. Pretty cool. So for her next accessory or accessories, she comes with 8 pairs of hands. I mean, some of them look almost identical. Maybe there's something different. The thumbs or fingers I'm missing. Yeah, you get a combination of like almost tiger claw kind of hands, or I want to say hands for holding opponent under the arms or something like that, or onto the onto the arms in general, like you've seen the game before she does that Shokin punch. Yeah, you got ones with just kind of, I guess, like a knife hand strike with 2 fingers slightly curved. These 2 are like. So if you look at these 2 different ones, all right, so this one, no, it's like they look very similar. It's almost like you get dual pairs of hands from what I see. Like if you look at these 2, right now, okay, these ones, the fingers go up on an incline where these go down. I see that, but then you get another pair that look, I don't see anything different, identical. Same thing with these. It's almost like dual pair of hands. The fingers are going up. I mean, the nails are painted, and that's all I really notice. Might be little differences, once again, as I mentioned. Beside that, that's all the hands you're going to get. Now, I'll never use all these hands, but I'll just put one of each. I'll keep a punch and fist on one hand and just put one of each on each arm just for something different. We'll check that out. So putting the hands on, obviously, I just took all 4 hands off the fist. We'll just try all the different ones real quick. But it's amazing how easy they come off, and they basically fall off. That's how loose they are, and we know these can all come off the bracers. I'm going to leave them on. So I'm just going to put this lower hand on the side like this, and then a lower claw hand on this side. Then I'm going to put one of these curved finger hands on the top right side. I'm going to put one of these hands where the fingers are curved in the up position on the top left-hand side. Now here's a look with that overall setup. So yeah, I just got two of those claw grabbing hands on the lower ends. Or we got these ones with the fingers straight. They could be like karate chop hands or knife hand strike type of fingers or hand setups, or they might even been something to do with her pose in MK3 or 9 from what I remember. But I think what would be cooler is just to put these type of claw grabbing hands on all four sides. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I changed those two top hands out, and I like that style of best with those four type of hands with the grasping effect and that type of head for the Sheeva figure. And then for our final accessory, so this is our blast attack effect. That's really cool. Check that out. It's just this giant, translucent, bluish, spiky, yeah, energy blast. Now, it's really hard material. These are sharp, by the way. You can see there's a plug-in hole down here. That's how a lot of these effects are set up for the Storm Collectibles MK figures. You get this stand with these different pieces that you can build it up as high as you want, and then you just... Some ends you got to look. There's a certain arrangement, but the smaller end obviously would plug into here. It would lock in, and then you just build it up with the base. Okay, so now I have Sheeva set up with her mimicking her blast attack going back to the Mortal Kombat 9 game, possibly 3. I think 3 was green or something. You can see I didn't need to use all these riser pieces. There was a certain order to snap these and get it to the correct height, which is about up to her chest according to the box in the game. Same thing goes with her stance. I'm going to bring the box back in a second to show you what I'm kind of setting up. Now that's, if you want this to be video game accurate, we'll call it not only the stance and setting and how high this is supposed to be, going back to the box or what it looked like in the game, I don't remember. But that would be the importance of the correct hands. So they are open hands, so when I see them back at the box, but I might not have the correct ones on or the position. The arms are supposed to go like more forward or something like this. You know, you can mess around with it. Don't have to be perfect. I mean, it's good enough for me, but it should look something like that or close to that. And bringing in the box once again, just showing that image of Sheeva on the back, how she throws her blast effect, or what they recommend. I'm assuming going back to the accuracy of that MK9 video game. And now, finally moving on to some comparisons. So, of course, there's our new Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat 9 Sheeva against our Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat 1, possibly Mortal Kombat 9 inspired Goro. I don't remember what it said on the box, to be honest, but anyways, in between 1 and 9. That's those two together, and yeah, Sheeva looks very reminiscent of Goro, obviously, part of that race, but of course she's female. Color skin, too, is very close, but hers is much lighter. He's also dark, but has that wash. And, yeah, put her punching fist back on like Goro, the way I've set up, kept the two open hands on. I like that best, as far as what it's going to look like on my shelf. And, oh, and they also have two toes as well. And then, of course, Goro has wraps, and she has bracers. I was thinking Goro had 3 toes, but anyway, that's those two together. And now here's another side-by-side comparison once again with our Mortal Kombat 9 inspired Sheeva against our Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat 9 inspired Kintaro, where he first appeared in Mortal Kombat 2. So you kind of see what those two look like together side by side, overall design and especially the size. And Kintaro is bigger than Sheeva. At first they look like they were the same height, but yeah, he's definitely a little taller. And of course I wanted to do a quick comparison, have all 3 popular Shokan warriors together. And it's really cool now that Storm Collectibles finally completed all 3 of these popular Shokan warriors, going all the way back from the Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3 series. And of course 9, where they all reappeared and remastered later on. So we got our Kintaro, Sheeva, and Goro. And yeah, they look great together. I'm so happy that Storm Collectibles completed these 3 figures in the line. And now for the size comparison, I brought in the Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat 3 inspired Montaro, once again against our Mortal Kombat 9 inspired Sheeva. So I kind of feel like that Montaro should have been a little larger in the series against the Shokan Warriors. I mean, now looking at Sheeva, but also going back to Kintaro and Goro. If you went back to the Mortal Kombat 3 series, he was larger against Sheeva. He was also in the Mortal Kombat Trilogy series for PlayStation 1, where now they had all 4 figures from Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and Ultimate 3 together, and he was larger. To be fair, he wasn't MK9. I think he was a part of story mode, but he wasn't a playable character in the main game roster, which would have been cool, but they didn't do that. Aside that, that's those two together, and they still look cool and match up well. And now for a couple of size comparisons. So I brought in the Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat 2 inspired Kung Lao against the Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat 3 or Ultimate 3 Reptile with the alternative face and the tongue, or that was his tongue fatality against Sheeva. And yeah, look at how big Sheeva towers over these two. I kind of feel like, once again, talking about how Montaro should have been a little bigger, or the Shokan should have been a little smaller. I feel like the Shokans are just a little too tall against the regular figures. Going back to some of the games in the Storm Collectible series. Not that I'm complaining, they're rather larger figures small. But they do seem really large in the legs and just the height. Aside that, whatever, they're huge, and they still look really cool together. Now I want to try an action pose between Sheeva and the Mortal Kombat 2 Kung Lao with the arms like, or open hands on the arms trying to hold them up, and then the two punching fists ready to strike him, something like in the game. Now you can kind of hold them up. I did have it on her figure stand, as you noticed. Really helps balance her. You can kind of, if you mess around with it, depending on your articulation has set, so you kind of hold it up, but then my hands want to pop off. She falls forward. You know, again, something you got to try to play around with to hold them just right if you want to hold one of the figures up by the head or what I'm trying to do. Looks something, yeah, see, it's just like, wow, he's really heavy, but I wanted to see how that would simulate with her joints and the articulation. All right, I wanted to look something like that. I had to use the figure stand once again to try to balance her because he's so heavy, this particular figure, she keeps falling forward. I just wanted to set up, see if you can hold her, but the articulation is holding. And now here's a quick comparison with a couple of McFarlane's Mortal Kombat figures against the Storm Collectibles Sheeva figure. So, of course, we have a Mortal Kombat 11 inspired Johnny Cage against the Mortal Kombat 11 inspired Cabal. Once again from McFarlane Toys against the Storm Collectibles Sheeva, and they work awesome together just for the size and scale. And now for fun, and one last size comparison, of course, because I'm a big Master Universe guy, I'm going to bring in my Master Universe Classics He-Man and the Masterverse movie-inspired He-Man. This one has a custom head from Raymond Toys. Against Storm Collectibles Sheeva. Yeah, the Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat figures, Goro, Katara, Sheeva, Montaro, the monsters, anyway, I think they work great with the Master Universe Masterverse or Classics. Just you want to put them in a diorama or set them up on your shelf in some kind of battle scene with a four-arm monster, because Master Universe line doesn't really have anything like that. Aside these larger figures like in the Classics, but they're too big. But I think all three of these work really well together. And as I said, setting these particular figures from the Master Universe up in a battle scene against the Shogun Warriors or those monsters in the Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat series. Alright, so that was my overall review on the new Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat 9 inspired Sheeva figure. Yeah, I think she came out incredible. I'm so glad to have her in hand. I love the overall colors, the wash you put on her body, the two different heads you get. They give her plenty of hands. As I said, I'm not going to use them all, but you got more than enough. The articulation's great. The way they did the spots on the back. This fire, blasting effect is really cool. And of course, they always give you the stand, which, yeah, it works good. You got to mess around with it on the space. Beside that, I just did a great job. I couldn't be happier to have her, and she scales up well with everything. A little on the big side. Once again, going back to Goro and Katara and his figures in this line for some reason, but maybe it's just me. Bigger's better than smaller. I think it's great. So hopefully you guys can get these in hand soon, or they start shipping from places like Big Bad Toy Store, Amazon, or wherever you order them from. Or you already got yours from Storm Collectibles, as I did, and sure to shipping out now. So I appreciate everybody watching, and until next time, take care.